What's up, Jets Nation, and welcome back to another episode of the Juicy Jet Podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Rooney, and we are here for a game preview pod where the New York Jets at 3-12 are facing off against their arch bitter rivals, the New England Patriots at 12-3. 1 o'clock, JetLife Stadium for the last home game of the 2025 season for the New York Jets. And while it's sad that this season is ending, I cannot wait for it to be over. So we are almost there, people. Finally, the last home game where the Jets have only won 2 games at home, and it was against the Falcons and the Browns. So not a whole lot to cheer about this year. But what we're going to do is we will talk a little bit about the game. We're going to go through news and notes, injuries. I don't think we're going to go too deep on matchups because this is just an all-time tank matchup here for the New York Jets, and the Patriots are obviously still fighting for something, so we'll talk a little bit about that. And then I've got a list of teams that you can root for. Shout out to the Badlands Discord channel. I'm in there, and there's a guy in there who put together an entire rooting guide for who you should be rooting for this weekend if you want the Jets to move up in the draft and get the first, second, third pick, or maybe stay at 4. So we will do all of that, but first let's start talking a little bit about this. Well, first of all, I'm like sitting here. This is great. I'm finally back in my my house. I got my microphone. I got the headphones in. I got the nice camera. So we're back. I feel back. It's been a little while since I've been able to film a podcast from my own apartment, and it's been a good week. I mean, the holidays were awesome. There were so many good sports on. I mean, the NFL games on what was that, Thursday, Christmas Day? Not great. I don't know if I love NFL on Christmas Day. I'm not really sure. Then there's a game right now. It's halftime of the Chargers and Texans right now, which is big playoff implications in that one. The Islanders versus Rangers are playing right now as well. They're probably just going to get kicked off here in the next 5-10 minutes, which is going to be a great one. So that's why I want to make this podcast really quick because got to root for those Islanders, obviously. And then all the big bowl games are coming up soon too. So there's a lot of really good stuff happening in sports. And unfortunately, the New York Jets are not a part of any of it because, once again, our season is already over and we're fighting to lose more games than we are fighting to win, which is really unfortunate. Now, for me, typically, I would say I hate the Patriots with a diehard passion, and I will do anything humanly possible to beat them because it just makes you feel good. If this means they don't get the number 1 seed because the Jets beat them on Sunday, I'm not going to be mad. I'm going to be pumped. I'm going to be walking out of there laughing in the faces of hundreds and thousands of Patriot fans. But there is no chance that we are going to win this game. So this is just one where it's like, hey, these last 2 games we need to lose. That's the only way we can get in a position to potentially get a good quarterback, or at least have the option to select a good quarterback. And this is going to be a tough one. This is going to be like a regular Jets-Patriot matchup with all the hatred. This is going to be more me sitting there surrounded by thousands of Patriot fans with probably not a lot of Jets fans near me, which is really going to suck. But, last game of the year, I am sad that we're not going to be able to tailgate anymore. That's all over with. And I'm going to have to be just watching football from home. So, it's tough. And then you got to wait till August again to do the tailgate and everything like that. So hopefully we go out with a bang tomorrow with a really fun tailgate. Looks like the weather's going to be cold, but not going to be snow until later on. So I think we're going to be okay for the tailgate, and should be a good day. And, maybe we'll leave at halftime, depending on what the score of this game is and how it looks. But all right, let's talk a little bit about some of the news and injuries and all that good stuff. So the Jets are, we've talked about this a few times. I know other content people around the Jets have talked about it too. They are just intentionally tanking at this point. Like, it is so clear and obvious what's happening. So the Jets just, I think yesterday or today, they put Will McDonald on IR. Kiko Malagoa is on IR. Jay Tefele is out. So the big one is obviously you have Garrett's not playing the rest of the year. Justin Fields is on IR. He's not playing the rest of the year, nor do we want him to play the rest of the year. Will McDonald now, who was our sack leader with 8, meaning he's not even going to get to double digits this year. He goes out on IR, so he's not playing in this game or next game. And I'm really disappointed in Will McDonald. I think he had 8 sacks on the year, and 4 of them came in one game. So he was not the disruptive player that I thought he was going to be. Now, he was put in some tough spots where, that defense was not good at all this year, and he didn't get a lot of help. I also think that we were down so quickly that he couldn't do his normal pass rush. He wasn't situationally put in the right spots where he could be the guy screaming off the edge going after the quarterback when all the other team had to do was run the ball down our throats because they were already up by 14 plus points. So that part's tough, but I expected a lot more out of him this year. Now, the Jets have a really big decision coming up. They need to decide whether they're going to pick up his 5th-year option or not, which is probably going to be around $14-15 million, something like that is my guess. So what do? I mean, he hasn't broken out. He was a first-round pick, and, he didn't get to double-digit sacks this year. Our edge rush on both sides, him and Jermaine, did not look good this year. We barely got any pressure on the quarterback. It was just a disaster. And then Will McDonald can't stop the run because he's too small. So I had some really, really high hopes for him coming into this season. I thought this was going to be a breakout year for him, where people were going to know who he was throughout the league, not just Jets fans. And he didn't live up to the bill. So that's going to be a big question for Muji this year. And I think they might pick it up just because we have the money. But we'll see. We'll have to see how it goes. But I would expect the Jets to take an edge rusher in, the top, what do they have, three picks? They've got 2 firsts and 2 seconds. So in the top 4 picks, they're probably going to be taking one edge rusher because Jermaine Johnson and Will McDonald just haven't lived up to what they're supposed to be. And it sucks because how many times we got to draft first-round defensive ends and they don't work out. So I'm hoping Jermaine is just because of the injury he was coming back from this year. And Will, I don't know. Maybe it's just we didn't put him in the right position to be successful, and maybe we'll get that next year. So sad to see Will McDonald go out and finish the season on a pretty poor note, to be totally honest with you. So that's not great. The rest of the team. We've got Xavier Newman's questionable. That's okay. He doesn't really play, so it's not a big deal. Eric Watts, Harrison Phillips, and Tyrod Taylor were all injured, but it sounds like they're all going to be good to go and ready to play. Now, Tyrod will be the backup because Brady Cook is starting again. So not a ton there from an injury front because everybody who is already hurt is out for the rest of the year. No Garrett, no Tony Adams, none of those guys. So, yeah, it's going to be a ragtag bunch out there. You're not going to know many people that are playing for the New York Jets, and I think they pulled up a few guys from the practice squad, including wide receiver Quentin Skinner, which is really exciting because he looked really good in the preseason, and we just never saw him again. So we'll see how it goes there from an injury front. But for the Patriots, they have a ton of injuries. But it's all really good players that are either questionable, out, or just coming back. So we'll run through them really quick. The players that are out for the Patriots: Mac Hollins, Harold Landry, Robert Spillane, Kayshon Boutte, Kyrus Tonga, Jared Wilson, and Milton Williams. Milton Williams, I feel like, has been out since the Jets last played against the Patriots. I think he got hurt against the Jets, so that's crazy. He's such a good player. So that's a lot of injuries for the Patriots. Travion Henderson is questionable. Concussion sounds like he cleared concussion protocol, so he will play. So I expect to see a ton from him and a ton from Ramondre Stevenson. I think they're just going to run the ball down our throats just like they did the first time we played them, and then they'll roll Drake May out. And he was having a field day last time we played against their tight ends against our linebackers. So we'll see how it goes there. Demario Douglas is questionable with a hamstring, and then it looks like Morgan Moses and Carlton Davis are both going to be back with their injuries / illnesses. So honestly, I just don't think the Jets can compete either way, even if all these players were out. I just don't think the talent level is there. The coaching, we're not winning the coaching battle with a guy like Vrabel versus what we got in Aaron Glenn so far this year. So this is one of my more depressing podcasts, just because I just know what's coming, and I imagine I don't know, maybe they'll surprise us. They'll keep it kind of close and kind of entertaining. Hopefully they beat the spread. That's like the big thing that I just care about the rest of this year is like beat the spread against these two teams, because we got Patriots and we got the Bills next week. But matchups to watch. Like there's not really a lot for me to say. Like you hope Jawan Briggs keeps playing well. Maybe he'll get another sack added to the resume. But you want Jermaine Johnson to play better. Jamian Sherwood had a really good game against the Saints. Can he replicate that again? Obviously, with our new defensive coordinator, is that making Jamian Sherwood look better, put him in better spots? Malachi Moore, I want to see him play well. I want to see Quantez Stiggers play well. I think those are two guys that have been very active the past few weeks on defense. On offense, there's really not a lot. Like no Mason Taylor playing. I mean, I guess I just want to see those wide receivers play well. You want to see Brees to get to 1,000 yards. I think he has like 50 yards left to get to 1,000 for the season, but he's just been like limping his way to the finish line here. And not limping because he's hurt, limping because he just doesn't care anymore. And he just doesn't look like the Brees Hall. And, I was thinking about it the other day, we have a huge decision this offseason about what to do with Brees Hall. You either re-sign him, you franchise tag him, you transition tag him, or you let him walk. I think there's almost zero chance we let him walk for nothing. But then what do you do? Like, what's the contract you're going to give him? And then if you start stack ranking the running backs in the NFL, where does Breece Hall fall? Is he top 15 in the NFL? I don't know. It's like a real legit question. Is Breece Hall a top 15 running back in the NFL? And if you like look through the list of people and you just compare him, you say, would you rather have this guy or Breece Hall? You're not always saying Breece Hall, which is like kind of surprising. You in your mind, you think of Breece Hall as a top 10 running back, no doubt. But when you really think about it and you compare him to some of these other guys, like, is he? I don't really know. So we've got a big decision on our hands. I think the fact that they didn't trade him means he's going to come back in some way, shape, or form. I would try to re-sign him if possible to a 2-3 year deal. But, if he sees there's a really great market out there, then we're going to have to franchise tag him, and that's going to be tough because that's a lot of money for a running back. But, we got the money this offseason to spend, but I'd rather be spending on some new guys that we're bringing in the building, not spending all my money on, a guy who we've seen for the past 4 years and hasn't helped us win at all. So it's tough. It's going to be a very interesting offseason for Breece. But he's a guy you want to see do well tomorrow so he can get to his 1,000 yards. It'll be the first time in his career, which is actually unbelievable, that he's gotten to 1,000 yards. Anyone else that I'm looking for? You want Brady Cook to not be embarrassing. I don't want the Jets to be the reason why he can't have a long NFL career as a backup or a third-string quarterback. So hopefully he limits those sacks. The sacks are really bad against the Saints. Hopefully he limits some of the turnovers. Those were really tough against the Saints. So, he's just right now he's just not a good quarterback, but he also shouldn't be playing. We're putting him in a terrible position because he needs to learn. He needs to sit, and it's not happening. So, I feel bad for him, but I hope he plays a lot better. And then, of course, you want to see the offensive line continue to play well. They've been really good all year. Don't want anyone to get hurt so that everyone's ready to go for 2026. So that's really it. Oh, and then special teams. We didn't even talk about this. Our special teams unit was absolutely robbed. Straight up robbed, because both Isaiah Williams, Austin McNamara, and Nick Folk did not make the Pro Bowl. I would not be shocked if one of those three become an All-Pro, meaning that they are the best at their position in the NFL, which is actually a higher honor than the Pro Bowl. But I think it's just because no one's watching the Jets. The Jets stink. And no one's like spending the time to watch the Jets punter because no one wants to sit there and watch a Jets game. So that's why you get guys like Cameron Dicker making it over Nick Folk, because he's on a good team. They're 12-3 or whatever they are, 12-4. So that's we got our special teams got robbed. It's one of the best special teams unit on the planet in history, and we have nobody representing us. And the Jets have no players representing us at the Pro Bowl this year, unfortunately. But not surprised, we stink. All right, so I guess prediction time. For me, there are no 3 keys to a Jets victory. I would be absolutely stunned if the Jets somehow won this game. It would really have to be Drake May just imploding or getting hurt. That's really the only way I could see this happening. And even so, we're on a third-string quarterback, so their backup should technically be able to beat us. And I think they have... Who is their backup? I know who it is. I have it on the top of my head, and I can't remember it. Now I got to look up their depth chart because I'm going to be annoyed if I don't remember who their backup quarterback is. It's the Josh Dobbs. And they got Tommy DeVito too as the third string. So both of those guys are way better than Brady Cook. So they should still be able to beat us, even if Drake May does sit or get hurt or something like that, which, I'm not rooting for that. But So my prediction for the game, I think the Patriots will kind of just cruise, to be totally honest with you. And they have, even if we were fully healthy, the Patriots have absolutely dominated this matchup for the past 15, 20 years. I mean, it hasn't been close since the Rex Ryan days where it was actually a fight. So over the past, 15, 16, 17 years, something like that, the Patriots have just dominated. So even if we were healthy, I don't know if we would win this game. So I'm going to go with the Patriots 34, the Jets 10. Hopefully we get one touchdown for the final home game of the year. But, you can only hope. So maybe A.D. Mitchell or John Mechie will score one for us, and we'll see how that goes. But, so not a pretty one. But the more important thing, the New York Jets are 4th in the draft order, and there's a lot of huge, huge games coming up this weekend that will impact whether the Jets move up the draft board or move down. Obviously, they're at 4. I don't think they can do worse than 4 as long as they continue to lose. If they win a game, obviously you can go to like 8th, which would really be tough. So I'm going to give you a list, and this is shout out to the Badlands community. There was someone inside of their Discord that posted all the games that matter and who you should be rooting for in these games. So I'm going to give you the really important ones first, and then I'll just give you the rest just so you have something to root for. So the big ones. Obviously, there are 3 teams ahead of us in the draft order. It's the Raiders, it's the Giants, and it's the Browns. The Raiders and Giants play each other. This is the ultimate tank bowl, and it's hilarious because you're just seeing between us, the Raiders, and the Giants, everyone's putting players on IR like crazy. It's going to be backup city. It's going to be like watching a preseason game, but it's so exciting, this Raiders-Giants game, because it's literally for the number 1 pick in the draft. Whichever team wins moves out of the number 1 or number 2 slot and drops down the draft board. So massive implications in this game. Now for me, it's not that big of a deal who actually wins. My personal opinion is we should be rooting for the Raiders, is because you want the team that doesn't have a quarterback. So we're going to be competing with the Raiders to get a quarterback in this draft. You want them to win so that they fall behind us in the draft order, which means they'd have to leapfrog us and trade up in order to get their quarterback. So I'm rooting for the Raiders, and then you just got to hope the Giants win next week against the Cowboys. So that's number 1. The Browns. The Browns go up against the Steelers. The Browns defense is really feisty, and they could put up a fight. I'm a little nervous that Shedeur Sanders isn't going to be able to do much against the Steelers defense, but those division games, you never know. They want to be the ones who make sure the Steelers don't win the division. So that could be a really interesting game. So you need the Browns, you need the Raiders. Those are the 2 big ones right off the bat. Then the other one, obviously, we have the Colts' other first-round pick, or the Colts' first-round pick. So you want them to lose to the Jaguars. That also helps with the strength of schedule battle a little bit. So you should be always rooting against the Colts no matter what. So root for the Jaguars this week against the Colts. Now, some other really big ones that factor in. Remember, the tiebreaker for the draft order is strength of schedule. So that means the team that has played worse teams and still has a bad record will get the better pick. So you want all the teams you've played against to start losing so that your strength of schedule looks worse, which means we would get a better pick. It's very confusing to explain over a podcast, so I apologize if that's hard to understand. But essentially, any team that you played against, you want them to lose so that it helps your strength of schedule. So a really big one is the Bills-Eagles game. So for us, obviously, we play the Bills twice. We need their strength of schedule to go down, or we need the record to go down to help our strength of schedule. So you got to be rooting hard for the Eagles this week. The Titans. You need the Titans to beat the Saints because we have played the Saints. And so we need their record to be worse to continue to tank our strength of schedule. So you got to be rooting for the Titans over the Saints this week. Another big one, the Bucs against the Dolphins. The Dolphins you play against twice. You want their record to be worse. So we're rooting for the Buccaneers to win in that game. Plus, you hate the Dolphins anyway. Same thing with the Eagles-Bills. You hate the Bills. You don't want me rooting for the Bills anyway. So let's root against the Bills. This matchup that's going on right now, Chargers-Texans. You want the Chargers to win because that will hurt the Raiders' strength of schedule. So we want to root for the Chargers. Then you got the Bears-49ers. You want the Bears to win. That would hurt, I believe, the Raiders and Giants. We talked about the Jaguars. Then you got the Cardinals and Bengals. We played the Bengals. We need them to do worse, so you got to root for the Cardinals to win. Seahawks play against the Panthers. We played the Panthers. We need the Seahawks to win that game. Packers play tonight against the Ravens. Obviously, we played the Ravens. You want the Packers to win. And both starting quarterbacks are out of that game, which is wild. I can't believe that there's no Lamar. There's no Jordan Love, so we'll see how that game goes. Then the Rams. Who are the Rams playing again? The Falcons. Obviously, we played against the Falcons. We need the Rams to win to keep tanking the Falcons' record. And then, unfortunately, we needed the Commanders to win, but they lost to the Cowboys. What are you going to do? Because obviously we want the higher second-round pick from the Cowboys. And then we needed the Vikings to beat the Lions, and we got that, so there's a plus for us. But that one didn't matter as much as some of the other ones. So the really big ones that you want to pay attention to, if you just wanted a handful, it's you want the Raiders to beat the Giants, you want the Browns to beat the Steelers, you want the Eagles to beat the Bills, you want the Titans to beat the Saints, and finally the Jaguars to beat the Colts. Those are like the 5 big ones, and then of course the Jets need to lose. So if you want to spend more time watching other games, you don't want to be watching the Jet one, those are the games you want to watch. Those are the ones that you need to root for. Maybe you watch that Tank Bowl, Giants Raiders. That should be a really interesting one. And who knows? Maybe we'll just go inside and watch that while we're at the game. I don't know. But that's it. That's all I've got. I really appreciate everybody listening all season long, and I know we've got one more after this. But this is the last home game, so if anyone will be there, please let me know. We'll be tailgating out in the morning like we always do. And yeah, other than that, if you could please follow me across all social platforms and like, rate, subscribe, review, all that good stuff. JuicyJet25 across Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And I hope everybody had a great holiday. Obviously, we got New Year's coming up. It's got some big bowl games, so I'll make sure to hop on again after this Jets-Patriots game, probably on Monday. Tell you about what I'm looking for in these bowl games. And hopefully the Jets get some good news and move into the top 3 because we get some big wins from the Raiders and Browns. So thanks, everybody, for listening. I'll talk to you soon, and let's go Jets. See ya.